That looks like Michael Moore.
Welcome in.
We'll just have him come in. Hi.
The fact you said hi before you got in.
Michael Moore. No, I was saying hi out the window.
That is Michael Moore, live on the Opie and Anthony Show. Capitalism, a love story. How are you, sir?
What's going on in the hall out here? I mean, those people used to be in offices, and now their desks are out in the hall.
It's all these cuts. All the cuts that have gone on. The merger.
I mean, seriously, people, you can't see this here, but it looks like a sweatshop out there.
No offices anymore. It is. Actually, there are young Asian children sewing shirts for JCPenney right around the corner.
Can you do a documentary on that? Radio shows that get fucked in a merger? That'd be a great...
That would be a good one.
That should be your next project. We met you at some Beatles thing a few years back. I don't know if you remember.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
I forgot what it was.
It was the anniversary of the Beatles being on Ed Sullivan. It was the 40th anniversary.
I thought it was the Pete Best got fucked party, but
we were out of work. I think at that point.
We were. Yeah.
Right. You just I think you'd gone to confession for your sins or something like that.
Something bad had happened.
Yeah.
But now I want to get right into the movie here. Capitalism, a love story.
Yes.
And now, obviously, you're very sarcastic with your titles. What is this about?
It's a love story. It's about the rich who love their money. Except the twist now is they love our money too, and they want it.
Now, do you actually see that as the rich loving their money? Now, is there a problem with the rich loving their money? That seems to me to be the American dream. You make the money, you get to keep it. It's part of capitalism, which, a love story. But you make money, you're able to keep it. It's nice. Unfortunately, I think more so the government loves our money. I think.
That's not what's happening.
Really?
No. First of all, the American dream is not about loving your money. The American dream is being able to work hard and then get paid a good wage for working hard. And with that good wage, raise a family, be able to buy your own home, send the kids to college, and have something there for yourself when you retire. That is the American dream. But now, the new American dream is you work hard, the company prospers, and you lose your job. And so a lot of people are very cynical about this now. And unfortunately, a lot of people just sort of checked out from the system because they think, well, what's the use? They're all lying to me and,
Now, I'll never deny the fact that there are plenty of corporations with corporate CEOs and whatnot that are just despicable asses. I mean, really, they rape their employees. But your comment earlier, though, on the American dream, I see that, obviously, yes, the American dream. But I don't see this need to suffer and the worrying part of it. Even people that are getting by, I don't see this need to sit there and go, let me balance the checkbook and see that. If you can achieve a place in this country where you are wealthy, you are now villainized. You are a villain in this nation because you have achieved more of the American dream, and you are looked at as someone.
It's because how they achieved it, and it's not just because they're wealthy. None of us would disparage anyone who works hard for their money, or
I think
I want the brain surgeon to be paid a lot. I don't want a guy working on me where he can make Taco Bell wages.
Very good.
But in my movie, I show you airline pilots who I interview.
Yeah, Opie was telling me about that.
Who are paid between $16,000 to $20,000
They got
a
second
year.
jobs. They have food stamps.
They walk dogs,
and
they give blood, plasma to make extra money.
That point. And
they're all woozy as they're flying.
And they're flying
a cookie
30,000 feet.
But these are people who work for Delta, United, American. These aren't little tiny operations here, and it's. I think if people realized just how, I think people actually do realize, because most people in the last decade have been asked to give back, cut your benefits, cut your days off, cut your wages, or cut you. And we now have unemployment of officially about 10%. It's probably unofficially closer to 20%. And if you notice in the last few months, as the unemployment rate has gone up, so has the Dow Jones. The stock market has recovered because Wall Street loves it when people lose their jobs.
Now, why would that be?
Because, and this is stupid thinking, it's short-term thinking. Short-term, it means, what's the biggest expense here? Your employees. Always, in any business, is the employees. So when you say, I'm going to save money by getting rid of these people, and I'll make the remaining people work twice as hard, or out in the hallway, in this case, You know, then the Wall Street goes, oh, wow, the bottom line is going to look good this quarter. And it does. It looks really good. But in the long term, if you lay all these people off, who's going to buy the cars? Who's going to buy the big screen TVs? Who's going to, buy these things that are supposed to put other people to work making them?
I understand that, but does it always have to be based on this corporate greed, and could it ever be blamed on...
You are so Rodney King on this, aren't you? Can't we all just get along?
No,
Why do we always have to blame the rich guy?
No, I'm just saying, can it ever be blamed on economic, just your basic over the years, the ups and downs of the economy? We're obviously in a low. Does it have to? Do you have to stick the blame on a company, CEO, someone?
Yeah. Yes. Because the greed of the last decade, all they've done is focus on how to make money off money, how to move money around, then take bets on the money, then take bets on the bets, then take out insurance on the bets. That's how they've been building up this sort of illusion of wealth. And instead, what they could have been doing during this time is old school way. Let's make things. Let's come up with the next light bulb. Let's come up with the next internet. And when we do, we put people to work. And then we will reward you for having done that. If you give 1,000 people jobs, I want you to be paid well for that. But that's not what these guys are doing down on Wall Street.
A huge jump in the technology sector in the past decade? I mean, I think it's been giant leaps and bounds.
If we hadn't had that, seriously, considering what happened after the 80s and the deindustrialization of this country, closing these factories,
right.
What would have happened had we not? But what I'm saying is, that was the 90s, what you're talking about. That was the great boom, and into the first part of this decade. But now we're in this really bad recession. In some states, like where I'm from in Michigan, it's a depression because the unemployment rate is 20%. What do we need right now to pull ourselves out of it? Well, we need the next great thing. Where is it? How are we going to get it? Because Wall Street has sucked up our best minds. The number one job that kids take when they graduate from Harvard, MIT, Duke, all the top schools, number one job, finance. Finance. So Wall Street is hiring not people who graduate with an economics degree or a business degree. They are hiring our top physicists, mathematicians, engineers, the scientists, the people that we need to find the cure for cancer or to build that bullet train that can get us from New York to L.A. in 10 hours.
Michael, hold on. One thing that was going, AIG, I think, raised, it really got people angry. Like, that was a chance. It was like Madoff. It was, you could finally put a face on what people just saw as this anonymous greed. How much money was given to AIG? Because somebody told me I was wrong for crucifying them. And what was supposed to be done with that money, and how much of it was actually given to their executives and not kind of given out the way they implied it would be?
$172 billion was given to AIG, and the New York Times reported yesterday, doesn't look like they're going to be able to pay it back. And they gave there were I think I don't have the statistics.
172 billion or million?
172 billion.
Okay.
Billion. And then they gave out, you're right, they gave out billions of dollars in bonuses after they took our money. And then they gave like say 10 billion to Goldman Sachs, because they had insurance policies on the money that Goldman Sachs lost. But Goldman Sachs had already taken $10 billion of the bailout money. So they double dipped. So you've got this really kind of sick and twisted situation going on here where, I mean, seriously, guys, we all have some crazy brother-in-law or uncle who doesn't know how to live within his means, right? I mean, is always in need of money, coming in for a loan, and you keep giving him money. And then finally you got to say, dude, you've got to get it together. I can't keep giving you money. But that's not how we treated Wall Street. The crazy brother-in-laws down there just blew everybody's pension fund, everyone's 401ks, everybody, just like the money just vaporizes. And then they come to us, the people who they lost the money from, and say, hey, give me some more. And you know what did we do? Our representatives, what did they do? We wrote them a blank check. Here. And they didn't say, there's no accountability. You don't have to say what you're using it for. Pay it back when you can. There's no time limit. Could you imagine go to a bank and getting a car loan like that? I mean, it's just absolutely
would be nice.
Absolutely insane.
How much of the problem, though, was the fault? And I don't know the answer to this. How much of it was the fault of the banks being forced to lend to people that they kind of wouldn't have lended to begin with because they didn't feel that they were very high risk? And how much was the government going, look, we'll take care of it if these people can't pay it back? Like, was it a lot of times the greed of the banks, or was it the government telling the banks, look, we got you covered if these people don't pay you back?
That is part of it. In fact, this is a crazy thing the government did when they handed out the bailout money. They made all the banks take it. They told all the banks you got because they didn't want the public to know which were the banks that were really belly up. I mean, completely no cash in the till. And so, because the public would go, oh, those are the bad banks, so I don't want my money in there. So all the banks then took money, again, to create a shell game so that we, the people, wouldn't know where the really bad banks are. Wouldn't you like to know? I mean, where's the safest bank right now to put your money?
Yeah.
I think I'd like to know that, but we can't find that out because the government is protecting them because they're worried that there'll be a run on the bad banks. But if you remember the savings and loan scandal back in the 80s, similar thing happened. The government stepped in and took receivership of these banks. They just took them over, and they said, okay, we're going to sort this out. And these banks over here that have been fucking around, you're out.
Right.
These banks, okay, you're solid. You stay. And then they turned it back over to the banks, and it saved the system at that moment. That's not what they did this time. They didn't say, okay, we're sending in the feds. We're going to straighten this mess out. We got to protect the people's pensions.
Well,
that's not what they
doled
did.
out money.
They just doled it out.
Hope for the best.
Hope for the best.
That they were going to do the right thing.
But they doled it out to crazy people who then the same chairman are still there. The same people.
Yeah, that's something
Bank
I
of America.
completely don't agree with. No heads rolled during this whole thing. It was a giant clusterfuck, and no heads really rolled.
Right.
On
it's
this.
it's like giving your kid something and the kid just is reckless with it and breaks it. And you see this happen, right? Just totally reckless. Mm-hmm. And you say to your kid, "Oh, have another one." And then they break that one. "Oh, have another one." I mean, that's what's going on here. They know now. This is the worst thing, actually. They know now in the future they can just fuck up and fuck around as much as they want because Big Daddy government is going to be there to give them some socialism.
But don't you some socialism?
Some welfare money.
Don't you see though that people are starting to catch on to this? I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a nation more educated in the likes of the economy, how it's not working, how the government is stepping in when maybe they shouldn't.
Absolutely. Nothing like a wake-up call at 52 years old to find your pension gone when you were going to retire in 10 years.
And I think there's the one thing that really stops this innovation that we need, that you were talking about. We do need new things, new technology, is just perpetuating the old technology by pumping money in it and trying to keep it on its broken legs. Let it fold. Let it go under because something else will take its place.
That's what they told us free enterprise was. You rise or fall based on how well you do. And if you don't do well...
Why am I agreeing with you on this? Shit. God damn it.
Well, but that's scary because actually, they've tested, the studio tests these movies, before they release them, and they found that of all my movies, more Republicans are going to go to this one than any of my other films.
They say you give Democrats a pretty hard time in this one. It's not just an attack on Republicans.
No. We go right after anybody who's on the take. I don't care if they're Democratic, Republican, whatever. We've got to be the watchdog of this thing here. And
well, now talking about industry in this country and the fact that we used to be a powerhouse years ago, and now we aren't making things. I see a lot of the problem being the whole world now is involved in the economy of the world. It didn't really used to be that way. You had your powerhouses. We were one of them, the top one. But now there's so many other countries involved that are using virtual slave labor. How is the United States supposed to compete with a country like China that is pumping out products at nothing because they're using slave labor?
Very easy.
How do we do this?
Very easy. China can't survive unless we allow their products in. Bottom line. And so we can say to them, you know what? We're not going to sell anything in the United States made by essentially slave labor.
But we're supposed to then suck it up and pay more for American products. Which it sounds noble. It sounds noble. But
it sounds American.
I'll give you that. But the realism of it isn't just CEOs being greedy. This is the American people feeling entitled and greedy and saying, if I could get this product for $2, why am I going to pay $6 for it? And I think that's putting us in a
not everyone does that. When I need something.
Ed Begley Jr. doesn't. For the love of God, thank God for him.
Michael, before you answer, can I just tag Anthony's point? Because the next point with that is kind of, if we do that too, we stop Chinese stuff from coming in here, won't it also hurt the workers here? Because A, they don't want to spend more money for American products because it's more money. But then China and other countries will stop our products from going there, which also hurts industry here.
The trade rate between China and us is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
We give them a fraction of what they're sending over here. So
no, you're right, though. I mean, listen, I don't want hardworking people who are struggling and living from paycheck to paycheck to have to pay an extra $5 for a shirt if they don't have to. But by doing that, too, we've also prevented what really needs to happen here. If you can't afford that shirt, if you can't afford that new car, you might be encouraged to get with your other workers and form a union and negotiate better wages for yourself. I mean, that's what my dad did. That's what my grandfather did. And that's how the middle class was created, because a bunch of working stiffs with no college education said, damn it, you're going to have to pay us a little bit more so we can buy your cars. And Henry Ford, to his credit, realized, I'm not going to sell any cars to a bunch of paupers. I've got to help create a middle class here so I can sell those cars. And when I sell those cars, that means I'm going to put more people to work because all these cars are being bought. And then I hire more people, then they buy cars, and kaboom. And then you have what we had for those, few decades where, you had a chance to live a decent. My mom didn't have to work. We lived on one income. A lot of homes now are 3-income homes where the teenager is having to work. That's not the American dream. That's not what I grew up with. That's not what my dad fought for in World War II. And we should just say that's it. That's enough of that. And let's not get hung up with whether we're Democrats or Republicans, liberals or conservatives. We are all in the same boat here.
Never seen a bigger divide though than
I know.
Now. Well, it's amazing.
Opie, actually, you saw the movie. I mean,
what do you see for the future there, Michael Moore? How does this end? Is it all doom and gloom, or
are we looking at Rome?
Do you see the people possibly?
I got that in the movie.
Yeah,
I know the opening scene comparing America to the Romans,
the fall of the Roman Empire,
and also the Jesus thing. Reworking Jesus's lines in an old Jesus movie was pretty funny about pre-existing.
That was my homage to you guys to get into, so I can get in trouble. Will
the American people ever get so fed up that they do something outrageous in this country, or are we too busy trying to pay our bills? I mean, will there be some kind of revolt?
I think there's a revolt right now that's simmering.
It's simmering. We all see it, but I mean, will it go away or will it continue?
Yeah. How bad does it have to get? I mean, right now, 1 out of every 8 homes is in delinquency or foreclosure.
That's just amazing.
1 out of every 8. I saw the statistic the other day that there's that, and I was able to. I mean, a few weeks ago, I put this right. The last thing I put in the film in the credits was there's one foreclosure filing in America every 7.5 seconds.
Wow.
I mean, we are in deep shit here, and the other shoes haven't dropped. I mean, what about the commercial real estate crash that's about to happen? What about the credit card crash? There's so much credit card debt.
This is all stuff that's piled on the back of people having been out of work, and this it does trickle down now to, you go to the malls, like we were talking. Ope said you go to the mall. Not that many people there as there used to be.
It's empty.
Yeah.
Right.
My shows are never empty, but I mean the mall.
Well, of course, your shows. Who wouldn't want to laugh?
I was joking saying there's no problem out there because I see people spending, but then I went to a mall about a week ago and I literally counted 12 people. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't prime time mall time, but still, there was 12 people in the whole mall.
What do you think of these people protesting? They call them the Tea Party.
That's
people.
Part of the revolt, is it not?
And a lot of it. I mean, obviously. Fox News covers it a lot more than CNN does. They've complained about that, and that way it's been tacked to this kind of right-wing thing. But what I'm seeing is
it's not all right. It's not all right.
Right, exactly. Right. I'm seeing angry people that don't want to have their arm twisted behind their back and another hand in their pocket.
It seems to be perceived as right-wing more than
it's perceived that way.
So.
It's perceived that way because of what he said. Fox News has tried to own it.
Right.
They've tried to make it their own.
That's a mistake they're making for the American people.
Absolutely, because
they would get more people involved if they didn't do that.
That's right. It doesn't need to be a divided thing. All people need to get involved. Look, this is a great country. We have this great open democracy where you can protest and speak your mind and demand that your representatives do what you want them to do, not the people who are paying them the big bucks.
But do you see liberal causes? Do you see liberal causes when they protest the liberal cause, the media being more tolerant to them than they are a more conservative cause or protest. I really don't see the media being as tolerant and the name calling.
I think the mainstream media generally doesn't like any protest, and they try to berate it and make it look strange or weird or funny or whatever. Because remember, the mainstream media, I mean, this is owned by large corporations too. They have a vested interest in the status quo.
Sure.
They don't want people out there rocking the boat, because God knows what could happen if the boat rocked a little bit too much. So, so generally, I think both sides get it. But I think what the liberals and the left should stop doing is criticizing those Republicans and conservatives who are exercising their freedom of speech.
Yeah.
And
they're making it racial and anti-Obama. It's like, I think the media, I think you don't think you should let them off the hook. I really think that they are attacking these guys, calling them rednecks, and they're a bunch of racists who don't like the president, when they're really just protesting taxes.
Yeah, some of them are. I mean, that's you can't get around that.
I agree with that.
I mean, because I'll tell you, here's it wasn't so much the teabaggers that got me, but that day that President Obama was going to speak to all the school children via satellite. And he wasn't doing this as a political speech. He was doing this as the president of the United States. And people kept their kids home from school. You know, this is the wrong thing to teach kids. You have to respect the office of the presidency, even if you disagree with the president. And, you know, as much as I disagreed with George W. Bush, as much as I fought him on his policies, I never uttered the words, I hate George W. Bush, because I don't hate George W. Bush. He's a human being. He's a dad. You know, he's a husband. He should not be demonized. And this is why our discourse is so fucked up now, because we feel like we have to turn the other person into the devil simply because we don't agree with them on gun control. I mean, for crying out loud, can't we just have the disagreement and let's have the great debate? Congress will vote based on what we tell them to do, and that'll be that.
Boy, that would be nice.
Wouldn't that be nice?
That would be amazing.
Wow.
Obama had a nice way of putting it. He said, don't turn the other side into a caricature of what you want of the arguments.
But that's been going on for so many years now.
We got to wrap up unless we could do easily another half hour.
I know, believe me, I'd love to have Michael Moore here for
Fuck, Michael.
Well,
you got to stop by where we could spend some real time with you.
No, I will come back. I will.
Right.
I'm in Michigan now most of the time, but I'm here a lot in New York. I'd love to come back and talk to you guys.
Well, you love that Michigan.
Yeah, well, have you ever been there?
Hell no. We're not crazy. We're not crazy. I know we went to Detroit
once
for one of our comedy shows. We were right near the stadium there.
Right.
In the middle of nowhere. We didn't really see Detroit.
We parachuted in. We're taken out in Humvees. It was amazing.
It was pretty impressive.
They brought you in from Canada. The back door.
I know you got to go, but I do want to say one thing. I'm glad you took on that whole student loan thing. Something we talk about on the show, where these kids are going to school and they're in debt.
It's like, welcome to debt. Here's your life. Welcome to debt.
They start their working lives in debt, 80 to 100,000.
Yep.
We've been making this point lately on our show.
Yep.
It's just ridiculous.
Well, how about now? These first few weeks of college right now. Ask any college student. The first day, they got all these tables lined up from the credit card companies trying to sign 18-year-olds up for credit cards. They don't have a job,
right?
But they don't care. They give them $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 credit limit. And all of a sudden they're in debt before they even have a job.
I know. I was very responsible with my credit card. My first one, I bought a jet ski. 25% interest.
But 22 years old, they leave college with about $6,000 of credit card debt, and like you said, maybe upward to $80 to $100,000 of student loan debt. So they got a fucking noose around their neck right from the get-go. Instead of being able to go get the job they want to get, or maybe, backpack around Europe for a year, or, just fuck off and do whatever. Mm-hmm. They've got to go work some shit job that they don't like, and they can start hating themselves at age 22 and start the miserable workaday life that listen, we all have to work, but what happens to our dreams or the things we want to do or try to do? You can't do that anymore.
If you have worked that hard through school and gone to college, you do assume you can come out and do more than the guy that kind of dropped out of high school and just comes into it.
No, actually, the
same job.
The guy who graduates from high school and doesn't go to college, he's got a 4-year head start on you now.
Got a 4-year head start and
$80 to $100,000
no debt. Yeah, no debt.
Because that 80 to 100 turns out to be $500,000 in the end.
That's right. You pay $500,000 in the end for what should be free.
So why would you go to college?
State of New York, the state of California. Right. When I went to college, state of California, state of New York, all college was free.
Yeah.
College was free. And in a place like Michigan, there was a financial aid office. And you got to go essentially for free. You had to work in the cafeteria or the library 10 hours a week, whatever. But that was it. Then they sent you out into the world with no debt.
Right.
So you graduate from high school now. You work for 4 years. When you're 22 at that point, And first of all, they won't give you a credit card because you are a high school student or a high school graduate. So you don't have the credit card debt. You don't have the student loan debt. You're already ahead. What's the message there? We're encouraging the idiocracy. We're encouraging people to actually don't go to school, don't learn, don't better yourself. Let's just be stupid.
That's what I do every day here.
And look how it's benefited you too.
See?
God bless America.
What a life.
Michael Moore, the movie, you don't need our help. We're just glad you stopped by and said hi. Capitalism, a love story in New York City and L.A. And then nationwide, October 2nd?
October 2nd everywhere. It's
cool.
It's my my largest opening of any film I've ever had.
That's this Friday. It's everywhere in the country.
No, a week from Friday.
A week from Friday.
Yeah.
Okay,
today, New York and L.A.
Okay.
A week from Friday, everywhere.
All right, that's great.
Right on. All right, Michael.
Oh,
Thank you so much for
All right,
stopping by.
guys. Thank you very much.
Michael Moore, everyone. We'll take a break.